Reddit Stories presents our slash confession. If you enjoy the stories, share and subscribe for more. I once lived off free Costco samples for 3 months, and no one knew. I lost my job a couple years ago and didn't want to tell anyone I was broke. My solution? Costco. Every day, I'd walk in like a regular shopper and just loop the aisles for samples. Meatballs, pizza rolls, trail mix, mini cheesecakes. I got so good at timing it that I knew which aisles refilled every 20 minutes. I'd even fake phone calls so I could circle back without looking suspicious. I legit survived 3 months on Costco calories. I still can't look at frozen taquitos without remembering those days. Comment 1. No one knew. The store employees absolutely knew and either didn't care or decided to show some compassion. Comment 2. Exactly. Employees usually notice way more than we think. Chances are they saw what was happening and just let it slide because they understood. Comment 3. I think you're right. Many store employees themselves are not highly paid, and many of them will likely have known how financially struggling feels like. So it's likely they don't bat an eye. The samples are from well-resourced companies. Who cares? Feed the poor soul. Comment 4. I don't disagree with anything you said, but I'd like to point out that Costco employees are among the most fairly compensated of any working retail. They have a living wage and benefits. Long live Costco. Comment 5. Hourly employee here. We gaff. Well, 90% of us. There's 10% that think it's coming out of their personal pockets. Story 2. I brought up my friend's mom's cancer during an argument, and now my mom is ill. I F14 used to be a very explosive person, and one argument I had with a close friend, 6-year friendship, ended with me saying, "At least my mom will be at my wedding unlike yours," referring to her mom having cancer. The argument stopped quickly, and as we were online friends, she blocked me, and I went on with my day. Our friend group split, but some people had access to her post still. Her mom had her last round of chemo and was now cancer-free. This year, my mom found out she had cancer and hasn't told me yet, but I've overheard her speaking about it, and she's in a lot of pain. I can't help but think this is karma. Comment 1. Sorry to hear about your mother. I hope for a speedy and total recovery, because fuck cancer. That being said, words matter. Comment 2. I wouldn't call you explosive, but rather dumb. That's such a mean thing to say. Imagine someone close to you knowing you're vulnerable and saying it to you right now. How would you feel? Anyway, karma does not really exist. It's just life. Take this as a lesson and behave yourself in the future. Comment 3. Karma is real. It may not cause cancer, but it clearly caused Opie to feel even shittier when they found out because they had to reckon with their past actions. Comment 4. Let me be clear. I do not think it is your fault that your mom has cancer after you said that. But, wow, what a shitty thing to say to someone. I truly hope your mom pulls through and that you learn from this. The words you say can stick around forever. Your former friend will never forget those words and how they felt. Comment 5. That's not karma. That's just life being unfair sometimes. What you said was harsh, but you were 14 and angry. People say dumb stuff at that age. What matters now is supporting your mom and maybe learning from that past mistake, so you don't carry the guilt forever. Comment 6. I know Pep Hanks was being blunt, but underneath the dark humor, there's truth. This isn't karma. It's just an awful coincidence. What you said back then was harsh, but you were 14 and reacting out of anger, not casting some curse. Your mom's illness isn't your fault, and carrying guilt over that argument will only make things heavier for you. Right now, the best thing you can do is focus on supporting your mom and being present for her, instead of punishing yourself for the past. Comment 7. I have no problem with them saying it. It allows Opie to feel what her friend felt. That is a much deeper way of learning, through emotions rather than simple words. And of course, we sincerely hope Opie's mom makes a full recovery. Hopefully this experience will make Opie an empathetic human being, which we definitely need more of. Story 3. Worked 2 part-time jobs for the same employer. Quit the other and still got paid for both. This happened 13 years ago, so I guess it's finally time come clean. Worked in childcare, 2 jobs, 2 locations. One job was in a kindergarten from 7 a.m. to noon, and the other was at an elementary school from 12:30 to 4 p.m. They were only a mile apart. After being bullied by the horrible people at the kindergarten for over a year, I decided to quit. Management didn't give a shit about me and my well-being. I was going to be just fine working one part-time job for a few months while looking for a more permanent thing. After quitting, I was still being paid for the other job too. I was sure I'd have to pay them back once they noticed, so I kept the extra money saved. Then it happened the following month and the next, and went on for a whole year before I found another job and quit. Still kept the money in a savings account, waiting to get caught. 13 years later, no one has contacted me about it. Money has been spent, and really needed it back then too. Petty payback, I guess, but I have no shame about it. Hated working there. The people were really mean all around. Comment 1. Just take it as a blessing in disguised op. Comment 2. Op, I think Shestohite for you said it best. Sometimes you just have to take things like this as a blessing in disguise. You didn't scheme to steal money. You quit one toxic job, and they kept paying you because of their own mistake. And honestly, the fact that you really needed that money back then makes it even easier to see it as life evening the scales a bit. At this point, it's 13 years in the past, the money's gone, and you came out of a bad situation with a little unexpected relief. OP reply, it was a turning point in my life. I finally had enough money saved to pursue a career I love. 13 years later, I'm still doing what I love. Comment 3, honestly, I get it. You were mistreated and just got a little unexpected compensation. It sounds like survival more than anything. Still, part of me wonders if a small acknowledgement now would give you peace, but I totally understand why at the time it felt justified. OP reply, for me it was literally life-changing money. I lived very frugally while I kept racking up that extra paycheck. That year of savings allowed me to turn my life around. I'm very happy with how things turned out. Comment 4. Even if I was treated like a king, I wouldn't send it back. LOL. Comment 5. How long do they have to claim the money? There has to be a soul on it, right? OP reply. Statute of limitations on debt/financial stuff is 3 years where I live. I kept the money for 6 years before I really needed it. Last comment. Honestly, I get it. You were dealing with a toxic work environment, and sometimes life forces you to take what you can survive. It's a messy situation, but at the time, you did what you felt you needed. The fact that it's been 13 years shows you've moved on, and maybe that's what matters most. Story 4. I took $700 from someone I know and convinced them that it was a hacker. I, 18F, took $700 from someone I know and managed to convince them it was a hacker. This dude makes racks. I promise I didn't steal from someone poor. Basically, long story short, he left his phone with me for like 2 minutes, and NGL after hours of hearing him brag about all the money he makes, I decided it would be funny to take some. He was an absolute arrogant asshole, so don't think he didn't deserve it either. Instantly, I was like, oh God, I'm screwed, and low-key regretted it for a few minutes. But instead of admitting it, I just lied. I even sent him an article I found by Googling, How Do Hackers Steal Money? He bought it. He actually started worrying about his other accounts being hacked too. He still thinks it was some Russian cybercriminal or whatever. Meanwhile, I was on Amazon ordering pink LED lights and a stupid amount of skincare with his money. I know it's messed up, but I can't stop laughing at how far he bought into it. Comment 1. Stealing is not only a crime against others, but also a crime against yourself and your own integrity. Karma will ensure that you pay the price. Comment 2. Arrogance is thinking you're better than someone else. Hope you're young and just naive. If not, you're cooked. OP reply. So you're more concerned about the fact I took $700 from a wealthy sick man whom karma still hasn't hit? Seems like you're the sick person here too. Reply OP. Nah, you justifying stealing because of his shitty behavior is ridiculous. Should he be locked up? Sounds like it. Should you be locked up for stealing? Probably. Obviously not the same level of terrible behavior, but you have no excuse. Comment 3. You sound great. Comment 4. I mean, stealing is stealing regardless of how much someone makes. Just be careful karma doesn't come biting. Comment 5. Maybe mention his SA accounts in the original post. not to defend yourself. Did you just want validation on here? To make you feel better about something you already feel good about. Point of this post? My reactions, this guy sucks. Anyways, story 5. I have never read a book in my entire life. I have hated reading since I was little. My mother struggled to teach me, and I just kept reverting back to not knowing how to read. I even remember confidently saying stick while pointing at the word squirrel, while she kept getting more and more upset. To put it shortly, she never got me to learn properly, but still tried to force me to read in my childhood. The attempts were pointless, and she just ended up giving up. I was extremely slow, and my reading comprehending skills were straight ass. I would get bullied for this in school daily for years, and it just made me absolutely despise reading even more, like to the point where having to read anything out loud just made me cry, and it still does. I've avoided books like they were a plague for my entire life, and I promise that I'm not being dramatic when I claim that I've never read an entire book, especially a storybook or something non-school related. Of course, I sometimes read for tests when I absolutely have to in order to pass if there is an audiobook. I have never got more than 10 pages into a book. I've always felt so stupid and alone because of this, because nobody understands my pain. It makes me sad to see those statistics saying that youth reading activity is really low nowadays, but it hurts to know that I'm part of the problem. Despite this, I was always an above-average student, and I got mostly perfect scores from tests before I got to high school. I wasn't dumb, but learning while it honest to God brought me pain was horrible. It's so hard to describe what it's like to read for me. But Imogene's swimming to an island, but you keep getting turned around. You are exhausted, and your arms hurt. Wouldn't you rather just give up? I mean, the journey itself is so exhausting that all you remember from it is just that it brought you pain. That's exactly what it's like. Reading is a complete waste of time. My comprehension is horrible, and it just makes me sad. Guys, please. Dyslexia seriously isn't a joke. It's not just some quirk. It sucks so bad. I'll never be as good as my peers at school, and I'll never make it to medical school, even though I am motivated, Jut, because the process of studying keeps beating me to death. If your kid is falling behind or struggling to get a diagnosis ASAP, I had to beg my parents to finally do something when I was in the 7th grade because they weren't paying attention. I got a 25 out of 500 score on my most recent test. That is the absolute lowest score achievable. And while the symptoms of dyslexia can be less severe if you put in effort, it's far too late, and I blame my parents for not catching on and helping me when they had the chance. I'm barely literate. How do you as parents not see that? My mom mocked me when I told her my score with tears in my eyes. Sorry for the bad English. It's my 3rd language. Comment 1. Find someone that uses the Orton-Gillingham method to tutor you. This is the only reason why my daughter can read. I'm sure it's harder the older you are, but it's always worth trying. OP reply. Oh my God. OMG, thank you. I'll look into this. Reply to OP. My daughter was the same. Reasonably smart, just this one thing. When we had her tested, all her stuff was normal or above average. But then there was this deep valley in Thebline graph, way below average when it came to reading. Reading works for her now. Writing still can be a struggle. She had to work really hard compared to other kids. But she's there. It is possible. Comment 2. That's such a powerful suggestion. OP should know it's never too late to get help. And methods like that can make a real difference. Dyslexia doesn't define intelligence. And the right support could finally give OP the chance to learn without all the pain and frustration. Reply to comment 2. Wow, this is interesting. Reply to comment 2. I believe there are other methods at work too, but this is the one our person used. The method made no sense to me, but I have a normal brain. It's the same way my daughter can't understand how I read the way I do. There's just a difference in the wiring. No amount of pounding it in the regular way is ever going to work for someone whose wiring is just different. Comment 3. Opie is dealing with dyslexia and still knows 3 different languages. Holy shit, that is impressive. Opie reply. Actually, I know 5. Comment 4. The dyslexia part is something you can learn to manage with proper help. For the reading stamina, you have to work on it like you would to strengthen your muscles. You'll do that by starting in small increments and gradually increasing them as you feel comfortable. Start with 2 minutes or 5. Read only that long until you feel comfortable, and then increase it. Keep doing that at your own pace, and it will get easier. Please stop putting yourself down. You are clearly intelligent, and this is hard stuff. OP reply, that's actually some really good advice. I guess it's possible that I've just been putting too much pressure on myself to read certain amounts, like called chapters or normal amounts that others usually read in one sitting. Comment 5. I would suggest trying a short, exciting audiobook to start out with. There's YouTube videos of people reading almost every classic short story, if you want to start looking there. A Sound of Thunder by Ray Bradbury is a short classic listen. The Most Dangerous Game by Richard Connell is also very short, has a lot of impact on modern media, and was super exciting to read. Don't feel discouraged if these don't end up being entertaining to you. There's lots of other ways to enjoy reading and other genres to try. Audiobooks count as reading. Story 6. I don't know if I'm actually a terrible person, or just know what is right and am self-aware. I know how to act like a good person, and I know what is right. I know what is moral. I follow what is moral, but everything going on in my head is not moral. Every time I see another woman, I rank myself against her in looks. I put all of my value into how I look, and anybody that looks better than me, I put on a pedestal in my head, even if they don't have the best character. I have put multiple faces along with mine into websites and asked it to rank them against each other. I have been tempted to do this with my friends, but don't do it because I feel disgusted with myself when I feel tempted. I get jealous when my friends receive more male attention than me. No matter how nice somebody is, I will feel an internal jealousy towards them if they are more attractive. I feel internal hatred toward women that my love interests have expressed physical attraction towards. With all the sites out there today where you can post things anonymously, I have been flamed for posting things I thought were valid thoughts of mine, and I've just come to the conclusion that my brain isn't right. I wish I wasn't this way. This way of thinking totally ruins my ability to live in peace, and I feel disgusted with myself. Comment 1. You got it in your head that you don't deserve love, or good things if you are not attractive. Every time you feel bad about yourself, you probably obsess over other women's looks, reinforcing the negative belief to yourself to justify the sad you feel. Being the judge is your way of gaining some feeling control over it. But ultimately, you only judge yourself, and you are unworthy. You don't owe the world beauty to deserve a place in it. OP reply, thank you for not judging and giving such a heartfelt response. It is so hard not to think the way I do because throughout my life, I've encountered multiple people that have treated me/value me all based off of looks, particularly men. I think what kickstarted my thinking is a couple years back when my friend and I met a guy at the same time, and the next day when he came to hang out with us, he brought her a $300 Valentine's Day gift. Mind you, this is a day after we met this guy, and I just got nothing while my other best friends had dates with us also. Today I still feel I'm always a third or fifth wheel when I'm with my friends, just watching them cuddle with their boyfriends. I know you should always be happy for your friends, but it still kind of hurts, you know. Reply to OP. I understand and I know how you feel. I'm considered attractive and I get lots of male attention, but I also know that I'm not the most attractive woman in the world, and all the attention men give me, they're also giving it to the next woman that is just as attractive or more. That comes within eyesight. This used to bother me, and then I started devaluing their judgment of me, because clearly it's worthless if their appreciation is so fickle that they're even attracted to an anime drawing. We want love, but someone's sexual attraction to us is not love. I think you have the idea that love will always be snatched from you by someone more beautiful. It's a shit way to feel. I think my issue with jealousy really came from the way that I felt invisible as a child to my mom, and she'd only praise me when other people were praising my talents or beauty, and she'd swoop in and praise me along with them, kind of like taking credit for it. Otherwise, it was like I didn't exist. OP reply, having the idea that love will be snatched from me by someone more beautiful is right on point. I would say I'm generally attractive based on what I've been told, but definitely not the most attractive, and I feel like men will always choose the most attractive one. My mom tells me so many instances of older men that will go have affairs with women in their 20s and 30s when their wives looks fade with age, and it terrifies me that so many men value a homewrecker who is young and attractive more than their wife who birthed and raised their kids. Even in my 20s, I have encountered and experienced men that will cheat on or leave long-term loyal partners for another woman that is more attractive but doesn't JF about the guy and has no personality. It seems like looks are everything no matter what. Reply to OP. The fault of all this is the men, not the women. Always remind yourself of this. The fault is with the man, not the woman he chases after. She could be any woman. It's him that's disgusting. It's better not to have a man that you don't feel is loyal to you. All it does is ruin your life with stress and worry. A disloyal man and his attention is worthless. You need to shift your anger away from women and on to the men where it rightly belongs, and you will feel so much better. Comment 2. I had a friend that was like this. It was ironic because I wasn't at all interested in any of the people that were interested in me, but she was always around at the time because we were best friends and hung out all the time socially. She admitted to me eventually that people she liked were always interested in me and seemingly ignored her. I tried to set her up a few times, but it never seemed to please her. Eventually, I realized she was a people pleaser. She couldn't handle the fact that anyone at all would choose anyone over her in any instance, for any reason. Eventually, she fostered her own social group and friends and romantic partners and has the same issues. But what changes is her entire social group revolved around her. Every person she interacted with either was already romantically engaged, with someone she wasn't romantically interested in, or with someone she was interested in and was available with no competition, because her entire group was already in relationships. If her friends broke up, she conveniently stopped hanging out with them. She didn't stop talking to them, just stopped seeing them in person, until they found another partner. It was very interesting, and of course sad to see. She couldn't grow past at the time anyway. I don't know her now. Her feelings of inadequacy. It boiled over to the point where she'd date multiple people at once and tell me about it as if it were normal. These people had no idea it was an agreement, so it was definitely wrong. I told her what I thought, and she said I was just jealous people were interested in her over me. Couldn't be more wrong. But to her, it was an achievement. She was getting attention without me or anyone else in her way. And she didn't stop at one source. She let anyone interested in her pursue her. She'd lead people on she didn't even like because she enjoyed the attention that much. This was something she admitted to me multiple times, not a presumption I made. If anyone ever broke up with her, she could not get over it. Years later, she would lament to me about one person that dumped her and how she didn't know why, and it would always bother her. I said, well, it sounds like you really cared about them. Sorry, you never got a reason they left. She told me she didn't actually care, but not knowing why was the part that bothered her. Otherwise, she always broke up with the people she dated. She stopped eventually, but I think it was actually due to the people pleasing, as were we still friends then. She wanted to please me by not offending me with her behavior. Or at least, if she did keep doing it. She lied and then didn't tell me again to please me. She shared some things that resembles some of what you posted. At her high school graduation, some kids were recognized for Best Artist or Best Joker, and so on. One girl was called and went up, and she just sighed and said, "Oh, I hate that girl." I said, "Why?" She said, "Oh, she thinks she's the best. She's so popular. Everyone likes her. She has this braid that was blessed by a monk overseas, and it's just so pretentious." I couldn't believe what she was saying. She was totally jealous of this other girl for no apparent reason other than she got more attention than her. Anyway, my point is, if you starve yourself for this kind of attention, it can lead to not so great places. You deserve attention from people genuinely interested in you. Feeling this way and not working on it can certainly lead to instances of getting that attention any way you can, even if it means lying or manipulation.